desperation setting in. Carter, wounded, flipped through the documents in a panic. Then, he found it, the final test logs. Subjects show uncontrollable bloodlust. Resistance is futile. Once bitten, transformation is inevitable. Holloway turned to Carter. His veins had begun to darken, his teeth growing sharper. He had been scratched in the attack. His voice trembled. "James, I can feel it happening." In 1944, near the end of World War II, a secret Allied task force known as Ghost Squad was deployed to a remote island in the Pacific, Isla Nocturna. The mission was classified: infiltrate a long-abandoned Axis outpost rumored to be a site of biological experiments. As the squad's boat approached the island under the full moon, the radio crackled with interference. A garbled transmission came through. A single word stood out between the static: "Run." Then, silence. Led by Captain James Holloway, a battle-hardened soldier, the squad moved inland. The island was eerily quiet. No birds, no insects, just the rustling of wind through the twisted jungle trees. Then, they found the first body, a Japanese soldier, his uniform tattered, his throat torn open. But the corpse was fresh, too fresh for a man who should have been dead for years. Worse, deep claw marks ran along the trees, as if something enormous had hunted him down. That night, the howling began. As they reached the outpost, they found the ruins of a laboratory, cages torn open from the inside, walls stained dark with old rust-colored blood. Documents, left behind in a hurry, spoke of a forbidden Nazi experiment, Project Monbesti. The squad's medic, Lieutenant Carter, translated in a hushed voice. Subjects injected with enhanced lupine DNA, response to full lunar exposure, irreversible transformation. Then, a blood-curdling snarl echoed through the ruins. The moonlight cast a long shadow. A towering, grotesque figure stood at the edge of the trees. Yellow eyes burned through the darkness. It wasn't human. Before they could react, the beast charged. Its speed was inhuman. It ripped through Private Dawes in seconds, his screams swallowed by the jungle. The squad opened fire, bullets tearing into the creature's flesh, but it kept coming. Sergeant Miller lobbed a grenade. The explosion sent the beast howling into the underbrush. But then, more howls answered from the jungle. They were not alone. One by one, the squad was hunted down. Holloway and Carter barricaded themselves inside the lab, desperation setting in. Carter, wounded, flipped through the documents in a panic. Then, he found it, the final test logs. Subjects show uncontrollable bloodlust. Resistance is futile. Once bitten, transformation is inevitable. Holloway turned to Carter. His veins had begun to darken, his teeth growing sharper. He had been scratched in the attack. His voice trembled. "James, I can feel it happening." Outside, the howls grew closer. At dawn, the USS Valor arrived to extract the team. They found the outpost in ruins, blood and bullet casings littering the ground. No survivors. But there was one thing left behind. A single, grainy photograph recovered from Holloway's gear. It showed the entire squad, but behind them, in the jungle, something had been watching. Yellow eyes glowed from the darkness. The classified file was stamped. Project Moon Curse, case closed, no survivors.